Welcome to the Marvel Alliance podcast, where we cover anything and everything to do with the Marvel Universe. From the comics, TV, and movies, we will go from the Mojoverse to Earth 616 to the Negative Zone to bring the Marvel Universe right to you. My name is the Uncanny Chris.
I am the podcaster, Mr. Trasnell.
Alliance Assemble.
Very nice. I listened to it, I think the past 2 weeks we've been legitimately at the exact same time in sync, so that's good. How are you doing this week?
Doing good. Saw a good movie on Hulu, Palm Springs, which was very surprised. Went into having some idea seeing the trailer, but it was actually really good. So I definitely give that high recommendations. Got a couple of boxes of new graphic novels that I'm waiting to break into, and a lot of X-Men in them, a lot of old X-Men stories in them. So excited about that. So far, good weekend, good way to end my week and open up some fun boxes. How about you?
Yeah, good. I saw your tweet about Palm Springs, and it's a movie I'd never heard about, and then I've just heard so much over this past week, and then I saw you tweet it. I was like, okay, I think I'm going to have to give it a chance now, because I've just heard so much good things. So I had the lesser experience as far as I chose Old Guard this week, and Old Guard...
I'm watching that tomorrow. I'm watching it actually tonight.
It's not an awful movie. It's just that it's just there's so much there to be left desired, and it's just one of those things that I'm just waiting for a Netflix movie to blow me away. I know some people go, "Oh, this is The Irishman," which I love The Irishman, but I attribute that more to Martin Scorsese than Netflix.
Yes.
That was no matter where that was going to be, it was Netflix. So I'm kind of waiting, and it's like it ties into Marvel a little bit. Did you see that announcement of the Russo's next film with Netflix?
Yeah, it's with Chris Evans and
Ryan Gosling, and it's what is it? It's like an assassin and a former CIA operative. It's Netflix's biggest film all time. So that
they have all the money.
Yeah, that's it. Yeah, somehow they're trillions of dollars in debt, but they're still like, we got all this money. So hopefully that'll be good, because I can count you probably on one hand. Like the movies, the TV shows in Netflix, they knock out of the park, but the movies, it seems that they're very hit or miss, and very just a lot to be desired. And I don't know what that is. Like I know lots of people liked it, but talking Russo's, I watched Extraction. I wasn't a big fan of that. I really liked the action, but I was kind of disappointed when I saw it. They wrote, and okay. So I'm hoping this movie will be better. $200 million for Netflix, but I want to see what the action scenes are, because that's a huge budget for, like, it sounds like it's a non-CGI movie. It's just a action movie, so that's a massive budget. But that's exciting to see. We're going to talk about them in Fact or Fiction, but that's saying, yeah. Other than that, I've been playing Ghost of Tsushima, so you can check out Geek First. We'll be dropping a review for that. Geek First, we got tons of stuff. Same with the Geek First or the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network. We got our 5 shows a week here. Monday, as always, is us. It's you and me talking lots of Marvel news. Go back last week. We had a really fun one. In the past 2 weeks, we had good debate one. So we got a whole bunch of stuff. Tuesday is DC Alliance. I'm not sure what they're going to be talking about, because news, even for us, like, we have some news, but there's nothing been here. DC's finally like simmering down, but that's a good thing with them. They got shows currently running as far as Stargirl and Doom Patrol. So if you're watching those, it's a great place to get your reviews. Wednesday, we got a retro episode coming up. And thank you to everyone that checked out last week's episode. I was on that. That was lots of fun to hear some feedback. But we got a retro episode. What are you dropping this Wednesday, Chris, for World's Finest True Believers?
The retro episode will be Lisa from I Love That Movie. It was her first time on the show. She selected Batman and Robin Eternal. And at the time, I'd never read it, and I barely read the first iteration of it, Batman Eternal at that point. But there's no connection to either, so you don't necessarily need to read Batman Eternal to read this. But man, it blew me away. It was one of those, like, just because the prior retros, I had read those stories before. It wasn't anything new to me. I loved the stories that we had covered, but this was our first new one that I had not read yet, and I highly recommend it. It definitely brings out why Batman needs Robin, and brings out a secret that Bruce had never been out there at that point about the Robins, and it almost kind of could destroy their relationship with Bruce at that point. So, but Bruce is barely in it, because at the time Batman is out of the picture due to the results of Endgame.
Mm-hmm. Lots of Endgames going on
with Joker.
Yeah.
So yeah, he is more. You see him more in the past than you do at that point. And Grayson is not Nightwing at this point as a result of Forever Evil. So it's a good story. But again, if you've ever wondered why does Batman need a Robin at this point, this series will show you why. So.
That's great. Yeah, I hope we get that place one day in the movies. We're getting that a little bit with Titans, but that's I think that's such untapped potential one day to do a full relationship. So yeah, definitely check that out. That's going to be a good episode. Thursday, Star Wars Alliance is back. I think Katie and Nathan are talking about. Obviously, you have some rumors going around of Solo and Vader coming back. You also have some confirmation of the Bad Batch, the animated show, and then I believe if everything goes planned, they're going to be reviewing the New Hope. So that's going to be their first film review. So lots of fun stuff going on there. And then this Friday, I think. Don't quote me, but I'm pretty sure it's either this week or next week. They're at the World's Finest crossover coming up for the superhero discussions, which is Superman the animated series, but it's going to be the one with Batman and Joker. One of the best episodes out of all that DC animated world. Just so good. Just the back and forth. I don't want to get into it because they'll break it all down, but it's going to be exciting too to hear Greg because he's never watched that before. So, and I think he's probably seen bits and pieces of Batman animated series, but he hasn't seen much of it. So it might be his like full introduction. So lots of good stuff there. But then finally on Patreon right now, you can get it. It just dropped this weekend. Is a DC animated movies universe ranking. Chris, I'll let you take it away because you, Travis, and Greg did that. But what did you guys talk about? And it's on Patreon right now, the $5 tier. Also, the $5 tier, you can get all these episodes early or ad free. But this is an exclusive one for a little bit, and then I'll have some news on another one we're dropping. But what about this one, Chris?
Yeah, this one all three of us, Travis and Greg and I had done it earlier, right around the time of Apocalypse War had come out, Justice League Dark Apocalypse War. And so I'd done a rewatch of all of it, and this was inspired by our good friend Scott from Squadcast. He had done that in anticipation. So I thought, hey, why not too? Let me see if how I stack up on my rankings. So Greg and Travis had done the same, so we just kind of ranked all 15 or 16, depending on how you look at the films themselves, even 17 at that point. I think I had 17 or 16, but regardless, we kind of started from the end of our ranking all the way to our number one. Number one is no surprise for all of us, but as we got into the middle grounds and where we thought not our favorites versus our favorites were kind of very interesting. So, but yeah, it was a lot of good time. Good talk.
Yeah, it was a good one. I haven't seen them all, but listening to it, like I said on Twitter, it made me want to give them a watch. So I might, now that they're all out, just start from the beginning and go. So yeah, it was really good. So check that out. That one is exclusive for now, and eventually it'll drop probably around the time of Man of Tomorrow when that comes out. We'll put that in the feed. But then another episode drop on Patreon. This one's going to be exclusive. You can support us. You can go over. This, as you talked about, at least from I Love That Movies. It's her, you, myself, Katie, Nathan, Travis, Greg, the entire Ultimate Alliance feed. We got everyone together for a rankings episode. We're doing our top 10 favorite comic book films. So what we do here is we all gave our own from 10 to 1, our favorites. You can hear the criteria, but then at the end we numbered them and we took it and we looked and saw what was the average. So you get to find out the average of the entire networks, and it was a very diverse list. Obviously no spoilers, you got to go listen to it. That's gonna be dropping next weekend right now, in the process of editing that, because there's a bunch of people on that, but it was tons of fun. It was it was a really good time though, and it was, like I said, by the time we got to the end of it, it was a very diverse list of, you got ones from all different franchises, different eras. So, and there was people that did picks I was very surprised, or the number one I was very surprised, so it was lots of fun.
I think I had the deepest pull. It wasn't high on my list, but I think I had the deepest pull for a comic book movie.
You 100% did. A few eyes opened up wide. So yeah, if you want to find out that's going to be next week, and all the details will be there. It's going to be debuting with a new tier, and the new tier will have different things you can partake in as far as exclusive and content and whatnot. So that's everything. And as always, catch us on all your podcatchers, subscribe, leave a review. We really appreciate it. But I guess we should get to some fact or fiction from last week, right? We got some results and everything.
We got some results. Yeah, run down those results, see what we got.
Yeah, so I'll start with, where is Tony's right here? So I'll start with Tony's at WaltGator93. You can do this just like every week, submit questions or fact or fictions. He submitted our first ever listener one, so Tony, we thank you very much. We had some good discussion over the week about it. In the next 5 years, MCU will do an Elseworlds out of universe type of film like DC did with Joker. I kind of use an example. So this was fiction 75%. Fact 25%. I went fiction. I think you went fact on this one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, so
I think so. Yeah.
Yeah, I think for me it was just the 5 years maybe why people went fiction, because that's what scared me as far as 5 years and COVID and stuff. It's like things we're going to talk about today in news. Things we don't even know when things are coming out anymore. There's even we'll talk about in the news, but there is rumors right now going around that Black Widow might get pushed to February now. So that's the thing where it's like 10 years maybe, but 5 years for me that was the hang up. Anything to say on that one?
Mm-hmm. No, I mean, it kind of fell where I expected. I like sometimes just hoping and praying that things will.
The next one, the Russos will direct the next Avengers film. Fact, 29%. Fiction, 71%. So that was you and me. We both went fiction, and it seemed like most people agreed. Again, it's so funny that we said that, but then later on, later on in the week, and they even talked about like, oh, we really want to do that Secret Wars movie. So again, I don't think they're completely out of the picture. I just think for the next one they'll change up. And even then, technically, if they do Secret Wars, could they smudge the numbers and say like, well, that's not an Avengers movie, that's just like a Civil War crossover movie? We don't know how. Like Captain Marvel's subcolon could be Captain Marvel's Secret Wars, right? It could be that. So we don't know. But for our next Avengers film, seemed like everyone agreed with us on that.
Yeah.
And,
no, it's too. I just don't see them coming back.
Yeah,
for a while.
Yeah. Second fact of fiction: Daredevil / Matt Murdock will appear in MCU Phase 4. 57% fact, 43% fiction. So we were. I think we were both.
I was fiction.
Yeah, I think I
was fiction on that.
You were fiction. I think you talked me over to it because I still thought there's a chance Matt Murdock could appear, but then we kind of talked about She-Hulk and maybe steal some thunder and where could he appear. So I was with you on fiction, but it seems like people were pretty close. Only 5 or 7% away from being a 50-50. So people
keep on dreaming. Keep on dreaming. Well, I'll watch it. Black Widow's going to end with an end credit scene of Charlie Cox, and they're like, "Well, we were wrong." And then the last, and I'd be like, "Well, that came out of nowhere."
Yeah. Well, they've dated in the comics. You know, they've had a relationship. So maybe she was in Hell's Kitchen and needed a lawyer, or maybe they said. I've always thought that maybe they do the Black Widow Daredevil relationship, but they do it if Yelena does survive and she's the Black Widow. They do it with her as far as like a wink and nod, right? And then the last one, M. Skull.
and I'll say, I want a Daredevil in this universe as much as anyone else. Me saying fiction does not preclude that. I want that, but I just don't see it yet.
Oh yeah, these are educated guesses. Most of the stuff when we say fiction, it hurts us to say, but we want it. So Red Skull will return as a main villain in a future MCU film. 70% went fiction, and then 30% went fact. And that was a good one. Me and Tony had a good conversation because he was talking about.
Yeah, you guys had some good points he brought up. I like some of his very interesting ways you could do it.
Yeah, I didn't even think about this because I think even on the first episode, 1 or 2 of our Marvel Alliance, and it's crazy, we're going to be dropping 10 in a few weeks, so that's excited for Volume 10, but I was talking about how I do think in the future a good idea to do an Avengers villain or a team-up villain is a team of villains. And I always thought early that was too hard to do, but after Civil War, and plus that would be something new. That was something that excited me. One of the only things that excited me in the 2017 Justice League was this thought of, Justice League 2 could be, like the Masters of Evil or something like that. Or Masters of 2, I can't remember which one are they, because there's the Masters of Evil. Which one are they in DC and Marvel? Because there's both the Masters of something. The Legion of...
Say that one more time.
What is like the classic bad guy DC team up? Is it Legion of Doom or Masters of Evil?
Legion of Doom.
Yeah, I legitimately always get them crossed between the two. So that excited me, and I thought, okay, that would be the next step because we haven't really done that in comic book films yet. I don't count X-Men because they've done it poorly when they have done it. So he suggested that that's where you could see Red Skull appear because that's why I went fiction as far as I think it could happen, but I always said where. He said team up. I thought that was a great idea. He said Falcon Winter Soldier, which you and I talked about last week, which it could be, but there's some problems there. And then he also brought up the Ultimates program, which I didn't even think about. I still think it could be too wacky, but he brought up as far as you could have the new Red Skull be Steve's son, and he wants to be the next Captain America. I don't even know if I want that because I love a lot of things in the Ultimates. I don't know if that's just, again, it's another story that I feel we may need Steve Rogers for, but maybe with him missing, that's the reason you do it. But what were some of your thoughts on those suggestions?
No, I thought it was interesting. It would be, Steve Rogers' son being the Red Skull. That would be...
It'd be something.
That would have some conversations about that. If you're wondering exactly... what happened, Steve?
Well, that's what
happened.
Yeah,
Peggy?
you went to the wrong timeline and something really happened.
Yeah, something. So I mean, I do like that. I don't see them going that far, but again, if you've ever read Secret Empire, they went there a little bit in their own way with changing a little bit of Steve, even though they made it right, but it still happened. So. But no, I like that. I really do. I think I always like just seeing, even if I don't agree with the theories, I still like the idea behind where it could go. So
honestly, anything that gets Red Skull back to the MCU, I'm probably going to be pretty down for. It's the same way I feel like Spider-Man Far From Home. It's not my favorite MCU movie. I have a lot of problems, but the fact that they did Mysterio so well, that always has a place in my heart, you know. So I'm pretty happy with that. So as always,
I would definitely love him back. I think he has more. There's more to Red Skull than what we got so far.
Oh, absolutely. I don't think they've even hit on the potential that they could do with that character as a villain and everything going forward. So, hey, maybe Russo's Secret Wars, bring them back. You just bring back every crazy villain, because I had seen some image too of it was just like Taskmaster with Justin Hammer and with, I can't remember, there was another one with Ghost and stuff, and I was just like, I want to see this roster, whether it's a Thunderbolts, whether it's a Avengers villains team, I want it, so sign me up. So that's all those today. Thank you very much for, as usual, voting and sending them in, sending questions or fact and fictions at any time at Marvel A Podcast. You can find us on Twitter. Chris, what do we got going for news today?
Well, before we got news, we actually got a listener question.
Oh, right, yes.
Yep. So I had asked this question on Fans Without Borders this past week with our friends Brent and Ray, and so they as they did, they spent a good lot of time answering this question, and so he had tagged me back in and saying, okay, I'm going to ask your question, asking you to do it on your show on Marvel Alliance. So the question I'd asked was, with Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. ending, and they are definitely going out swinging. I still, at this time of this recording, I'm trying to watch the most recent episode tonight, but they are definitely, it is an awesome season. Marvel TV is waiting for Disney Plus to premiere their brand. Do you see ABC getting another chance at carrying a Marvel TV show, or is Marvel TV simply going to be behind the paywall of Disney Plus? And if you think there's a chance, what type of Marvel TV show do you see them basically doing on a network?
Yeah, so I listened to this. It was a great breakdown by them, and they gave a lot of suggestions and whatnot, so go listen to that. I just started listening to them, and it's a really good show, so it's fun finding new shows out there in the interweb. So it's difficult, because obviously Disney Plus is this whole new thing, right? And because of COVID, like you said, we're going to talk about it later, there's a lot of changes potentially happening with that, but still, eventually once things get back to normal, or even once they start filming and can be allowed to film, there's going to be many projects going there. But then it's kind of like, what else could go there? And it is strange, because we saw when the Fox purchase happened, Feige really cleaned house as far as shows that were happening, like that X-Men, I think it was called Gifted or something on Fox, right? I think that's what it was.
Yes,
yeah.
The Gifted.
So there was that, and then there was also just other shows like The Runaways, Ghost Rider got squashed. We're going to talk about Helstrom later, but it seemed like it was like, if you're not part of the MCU family, we're kind of wrapping it up. And I think as far as Feige goes and that team, they do, for better or less, want majority of things to be in the MCU, because it just kind of feeds off one another, right? They don't want it to be where Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. has picked up and good, but a lot of the rep it got, and a lot of the Netflix shows got as well, as, hey, we're connected. But as you start going, you might be connected as far as a wink and nod, or Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., you're connected, but you really don't matter in the situation. If they are really connected, you would think Coulson would have linked it back with the Avengers, but I'm alive, right? And that didn't happen. So to me, it's just, do you get a bad rep if you're on ABC? I feel like you automatically get the tag of Kevin Feige doesn't care about you. They have no plans for you. And maybe that's fine. That's, it's going to be disappointing to some, but maybe they could look at their roster and ABC goes, hey, Marvel's our biggest brand right now. So is Star Wars, but it is. So we want something on ABC that's like that. I think we will get one sort of maybe show like an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. where it is. I'm not sure what they're doing nowadays as far as, I know they're still like PG-13, but as far as adult, I think just that type of vibe where it is, you could watch it with a family, but it's not, it's not Daredevil Netflix, but it's not too kiddie either. So I think there's potential for it. I loved the idea they were talking about as far as you could put it on Disney Plus and then roll it over to ABC, especially in these times. That was a fantastic idea. I think they should definitely do that. There's probably already been conversations about that, because why not? It's like a movie, right? Wait a little time. And yeah, some people might wait, but I doubt the hardcore fans are going to pay money. They won't wait. As far as shows, I think he will get one, but I think it will be an Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. type, where it's nothing too massive, no characters that are really, or even like Helstrom, where that's a character people know, but he's not a major IP. So I could see doing one, just because ABC may want some of that love, but it won't be anything connected to the MCU, and that might be one of the only offshoots of the MCU as of right now. Yeah,
it's one of those things that I do think that now that Feige's kind of in control of pretty much everything when it comes to Marvel, because I mean, Jeff Loeb is no longer part of Marvel TV at that point,
and Perlmutter's pretty much gone from that division too.
Yeah, exactly. So it's one of those situations where I don't know. I don't think it was necessarily ABC's fault. I think Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. just kind of got muddled and then became its own thing. There's been tips of the hat here or there in later seasons about it's connected, but is it really? And so I think this past season's done a lot to kind of make those connections there still. But, I do see them getting another shot. What could it be? It can't be unfortunately, I don't think it's going to be a flagship show.
No.
Because I think that's what they're keeping Disney Plus. If they did, you'd see Falcon of the Winter Soldier. But could I see, maybe one of the, maybe, hey, how about this? Maybe the Champions get a young group, new, maybe new, the quote unquote, the Young Avengers.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe do something like that. I know it says, they've got like, Freeform or whatever it was that they tried doing that with Cloak and Dagger, and that's gone. Runaways, ended after 3 seasons. So, I think maybe they're just. I don't see them getting one for a while, but I do eventually seeing one come on, but I would think it would be kind of like maybe a new Champions.
Yeah, I was going to say something like group. I could see that. I think even the name New Avengers, or Young Avengers, you wouldn't see that because I feel like anything that would have that kind of branding or that name tying to if you see Avengers, you're going to think of those films, right? And I think Feige only wants you to think of that if it's his property. So Champions, I could see. Young Avengers, I don't think so. And I do buy some of those rumors that have been around that I think they may do that for Disney Plus or something like that. Maybe it leads to film. I don't know. But I think that it will be... they're going to be really careful with what they do. It's going to be one of those in association with Marvel. They won't say that because it is Marvel, but I think they're going to be really, really picky as what they put there, if they put anything there.
Yeah, I think something's going to happen, but I think after Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., it's going to be a couple of years before we do see anything on ABC with it that doesn't automatically, at least initially, come from Disney Plus. But I think they're going to get another shot. It's just going to be a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, I agree.
So I'm gonna pat myself on the back a little bit by a good question on that one, and I appreciate Brent. Coming back at us with the same question because it's one of those things. I know you've said that you've kind of peeled off of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. Maybe one day you'll get back into it, but yeah, it's if you've kind of soured on Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. the last couple of seasons where they've kind of limited the episode count, they've done some really good. I mean, there's very little, if no, filler the last few seasons. So, and I haven't even cared that it's quote unquote connected, not connected. It's just been really good what they've been doing.
Episode count can be the villain to a lot of shows, so that's a good thing it got taken down. So.
Oh yeah. So all right. So let's get into some news. We'll start off with a strong one at this point. We've got Giancarlo Esposito thinks joining the MCU is the next step in his career. Story that I got this originally from was Screen Rant, and this. He made some waves this past weekend, being announced as he kind of dropped a big hint the week before it saying he's in a video game, but can't really talk about it. And then the leaks came out, and then Ubisoft had to pony up, and yes, he is the main quote unquote villain in the new Far Cry 6. So that's where it started picking up steam with this. So yeah, he spoke to Entertainment Tonight. And the quote is, "There's been all these rumors about being part of Marvel. I want to work with these guys. I put that out in the world." And he said, though he didn't go into create any rumors for himself, he also said that he wants to do something enduring with them, and that I think that Marvel would be likely the next step for me. So he's got some good connections already. I mean, he was featured towards the end of Mandalorian. Mm-hmm. He's already linked up, which is Jon Favreau's baby, so he's already linked with him. He's already linked with Disney, who owns Marvel. This would be kind of cool. I already have my fan cast for him. at that point. But what do you feel?
Yeah, I feel, and the other one, I'm pretty sure he's in Jungle Book too as a voice. So obviously that's a Favreau connection, but still, when you work with Favreau and you work with Disney, you're kind of in that camp. I said this on Twitter, and a lot of people agreed. I don't think this is I just think this is a win. I find it odd because, especially in COVID times, these interviews are pre-recorded and you can control it. The fact that he answered this question in such like an open way, and he didn't say he would like that to be the next step. He said it's likely the next step. So to me, that just screams, okay.
He wants it bad.
He wants it bad, but to me that also screams they've had conversations, in my opinion. I think
no doubt.
There's some Disney secret luncheon you go to, and he sat beside Kevin Feige, and Feige just looked at him and been like, because the good thing about Giancarlo Esposito is he is an actor who could just be anything. And there's been tons of fan casts, and that's where I will say, like, I agree with my DC brother over there, Travis Hines. He would have been a phenomenal Mr. Freeze, but I think the verbiage he's using, the way he's saying it, and the way it was done in this sort of interview thing, which, like I said, is pre-recorded, it's not live. I think this is it's already been talked about, and at one point, Feige or that team has said, we got a role for you, just hang on. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
Mahershala Ali, we had no idea. There was zero rumors. And what happened? He called Kevin Feige. They had a meeting. He said, I want to be Blade. And like Kevin Feige said, when two-time Oscar winner Mahershala Ali says he wants to be Blade, you don't say anything. And I think the same thing would happen to Giancarlo. I don't think Giancarlo went in there and said, I have a role, but maybe he did, and I do, and I know you're going to get to Van Cast. I do think whether it is Xavier or whether it is Magneto, he could pull off perfect, and that's such a compliment to what a great actor he is. I think you naturally jump to Magneto because he's been more villainous side, so I would like that. I would honestly prefer him as Xavier just because he has done the villain a bit more, but as Eric, he would be fantastic, and that, again, I've always been scared to fan cast those two because I just don't know what they're going for age. But if they are going for an older Magneto, we talked about this in the X-Men episode, I believe whether it's Giancarlo or not, Magneto will be black, and they're going to use a lot of the trauma that has happened in that community over the years as kind of the new telling of Magneto. It's Cinderella's stupid slipper is what I'm trying to get to. It just fits perfectly, and I think he is a talent to have all over. So what's your fan cast for him?
Yeah, I think he's an outstanding actor. Most people have just recently discovered him thanks to Breaking Bad, but he's been around for so long. Spike Lee's doing the right thing. I'm almost positive he was in that, and so he's been around a lot, and so. My fan cast for him, I would love him to say either Charles Xavier or Magneto. I think that's excellent. My quick fan cast is Doctor Doom. I know it's another evil character, but we've been talking a lot about not saying Charles Xavier and Magneto aren't enduring. They are. They're definitely enduring. I think Doctor Doom, I really think he's going to be our next big bad in the MCU, and he's definitely an enduring villain that has continued to be a thorn on everyone's side in one way, shape, or form. Yeah,
I would be down for that. It's the same thing with the age thing, right? Because if he's older, I would assume that would make Reed older too, right? Because they usually do college and they're friends. So that's why if they say, hey, we're going older, which people have talked about you could do, that works for me. That's why I've always kind of steered away from that, because I still think Doom is going to be a late 30s, mid 40s type of guy. But if they said, hey, he's going older, again, he's a perfect choice for that. I've seen many things shown out as far as Green Goblin as well. He's just all over the place. So again, there's not really been a fan cast on Marvel DC where he couldn't pull that off. Even if it's a CGI type character, if it's just his voice kind of in that way because he has such an imposing voice, I wouldn't be opposed. Breaking Bad is my all-time favorite show, and he's one of the reasons why he just had such a great presence, and it had Thanos thing of he's a very villainous guy, but they flesh him out and you see why he's doing the things he's doing, and when you got a guy with that talent, that was the perfect role for him. So I'm waiting. I think there's a chance, and this is why I think he said likely next step. I think there's a chance if the world was regular and we had got Black Widow and we were getting Falcon Winter Soldier in August, if there was a Comic-Con sort of Marvel Studios event, maybe this would have been an announcement, and maybe that's why Feige's kind of like, you could hint around it and then maybe we'll confirm it in the future, or something like that, because I think we would have got a confirmation. I could be totally wrong. It's just the verbiage he used was kind of peculiar in my estimation, because it's known in Hollywood as actors. It's kind of changing now, but for the most part, you usually don't pitch yourself because it's a Hollywood tale. If you pitch yourself right away, they write you off. You go, you're a little desperate. It's different. The guy that got cast is saying she tweeted about it, and he did. So things are changing, but it's still kind of like for a guy of his stature and his age, he, I think, would have the mindset of not trying to go for a role. If they said, you want to work with Marvel? Oh, I'd love to, sure, and then kind of move forward. But he was just so descriptive about, oh, I'd love to. Yeah. They're fantastic. Their roles, it's just like, okay. It's kind of like when you know two coworkers are dating at work, but none of them want to admit it, but they're just like, yeah, like, Jeff, he's great. He's so nice. He's so funny. And it's just like, you don't ever talk about Jeff like this. Oh, I just noticed these things. Like, okay, these two are secretly together, aren't they? And that's what I think's going on here.
Yeah, no, I agree. Again, he had dropped the big hint about him being in a major video game upcoming at that point. So,
and that got confirmed. It's not like he was joking around.
No, yeah. So, yeah, you're right about the Doctor Doom. It would up the age at that point, but it doesn't have to be. You get to change Doom's storyline just a bit. At that point, the age is meaningless at that point. And yes, he's another villain. And do I think he can play a quote unquote not a villain and a hero, protagonist, whatever? Yes, I totally agree with that. It's just his presence. I think that gravitas bringing to that role of Doctor Doom, he just has that regalness about him as an actor. And I was right. Do the Right Thing. He was a big part of that. I just hadn't seen that movie in so long, and I couldn't remember.
And the other thing is, the reason I kind of lean towards villain, because as far as hero, if he's playing a hero, unless it's Xavier, lots of heroes that age, I don't know if he'd be around. The villainous side as well, as far as I lean towards Xavier as far as the hero, because I think he would be great as that. But I think as a villain, we could see him multiple times, and that's what I would like. I don't want him to be a one-off. I was happy we got Jake Gyllenhaal in Far From Home, but it is kind of a bummer of like, well, it looks like we're probably never getting him again to expand on that role. So he's a great actor. It made sense. I never think Jake was going to do that, but a guy with Giancarlo, same thing. I would like him to get that Loki treatment. We've talked about this. I love keeping villains alive just for potential as well. You don't have to do it, but the card's always there, and that's how I'd like him to play one of these top tier villains, because not something just like, maybe I don't want him to get a role like Martin Freeman has, where he's just like, oh, he's in these movies, but he's like a side shield agent or he's a side bad guy. No, I want him either being a main good guy or bad guy, or don't have it all, because he's just such a talent. You need him around for multiple films.
Yeah, and I like that they're reaching out and they're having conversation with such top talent as him. It's like we said, it's not a question of if, it's a question of when. So we will see what happens, and if any of us are right with the role that he has.
Oh yeah.
But yeah, our next story is, this just broke yesterday, from Sci-Fi. New Mutant sets SDCC at home panel drops new teaser for long delayed X-Men spinoff. The last of the Fox movies is still holding on, not wait out there. Yeah, I did see the trailer. About 30 seconds at that point. Going through all the characters, everyone has their own spotlight moment. I still really want to see this movie. I'm sorry, but X-Men New Mutants as a horror movie at that point, I don't care if it's nothing's going to come of it. I just want to see this movie. And I had proposed to you yesterday. Right now, the premiere, which we know is going to get pushed again, is currently August 28th. I'm hearing some rumors going around that this panel, again, with SDCC coming very quickly, this panel just dropped all of a sudden. So it's great that they're having a panel, but I have a feeling that we might be seeing this as another bypass theaters. I know you disagree with me on that, but I'm just hearing some stuff, and we've been begging for it for a while just to see this darn movie.
Yeah, I wouldn't be opposed, and I think there's some credence to, as far as you are right. It is strange that the panel, like, they did their whole schedule, Comic-Con at home, you go look it up, and there's some fun panels. I'll be checking a few out. It's not going to have that Comic-Con, rush like usual, but still there could be some news. So it could be just even some fun cast reunions, right? Let's see if Joss Whedon actually shows up to his panel and what happens there. So there's lots of still interesting things happening this weekend, but that did come after the schedule drop. So that does give credence, and we've heard this before about the Hulu potentially drop. The only thing is, because I've been saying this for years, that I thought, they are going to bypass series, go to Hulu, and then I had heard someone, and like I said, it's always, you never know for sure, contracts can change, but I had heard something that the reason they couldn't do Hulu is because HBO had the streaming rights to it, and the same way that in America right now, they have the streaming rights to Dark Phoenix, so on HBO Max, Dark Phoenix is there, a Disney-owned movie. So that was the thing of, you at least have to put on VOD first, and then it can go to streaming with HBO. But it would have to go VOD, HBO, and then Hulu. But you couldn't drop to Hulu unless, which always happens, there's deals made and changed, right? The same way there's like that movie coming out with Seth Rogen, American Pickle or something. It looks weird, but that was an HBO Max movie, and then they sat down, hey, this isn't gonna theaters isn't happening. What can we do? So things could change. So that does give credence to it possibly happening. So if there's no change, then I'd say no, it's going to be the same way. I think VOD is still an option, maybe not Hulu. I think VOD.
Now that you say that, yeah, especially at the end of the trailer, they bring out at the end of the trailer and watch the new panel, watch the panel on SDC at home. So I mean, they're putting this out there. They want people to watch. So it's New Mutants. It hasn't gotten a lot of traction outside. Oh, great, the movie that should have came out years ago still hasn't come out yet. I have a feeling you're right. If the deal is still in place of the streaming rights at that point, then it won't be coming to Hulu unless they bought it out. But yeah, the VOD rights, we've seen that happen, and I've a free cup of coffee in the break room. I would like. I'm feeling they're going to drop that. It's going to go VOD.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Disney, who is now Fox/Mutants, did that with Onward, right? And that was very early on with the theaters going to crap. COVID happened. Like, okay, just put it on VOD, and it hurt that movie. But at the end of the day, that was the only move they really had to make, and that's where I kind of think with this is, to be honest, New Mutants is not going to make a tons of money as far as when it released box office, even when COVID was not happening, in my opinion. I think X-Men right now it's not Fantastic Four as far as stock level, but X-Men right now is very 50-50, where I feel like there's certain properties, Wolverine, Deadpool, that you put them out, they're going to be massive hits, and maybe some other ones that you could kind of revive. There's other ones like just the name X-Men or the team-ups. Look at Dark Phoenix. That was the lowest grossing X-Men out of all of them. I'm 99% sure on that. At least for the opening weekend and the box office run for the first few weeks, some of the lowest they've ever had. So the kind of hype for that brand is kind of down. And then when you have this thing called New Mutants, I always do the mom test. If I say, hey, have you heard New Mutants? She's probably going to guess it's something to do with X-Men, but it's not on her radar. If you don't see that X-Men's the same way as Dark Phoenix, they've rebranded it now on home video, right? X-Men Dark Phoenix. So I think there's still select people when they see New Mutants go, eh. When it's a horror movie, X-Men, then they go, eh. So I think even in regular times, this movie was not going to do gangbusters at the box office. So I feel like you get it out there. Maybe it becomes a cult hit. People are talking about it. People are at home with COVID. Maybe get some success like Trolls World Tour did. It's not the success it would have had going to theaters, but still, it was one of the more financial successful ones. So I could see the VOD dropping. I don't see the Hulu thing, but unless, like I said, things have changed. But I could see they do the panel, and then next week it drops. Or maybe they just say August 14th it's VOD. I hope it's not, because we'll announce that next week we have a special guest host that's going to do with Chris. So if it drops and you guys get to see the movie, and I'm going to be a little salty because I'm going to be camping with my family. I'm going to be nowhere with cell reception, and then I'm going to come home like, oh, New Mutants has been out for 3 days. But I don't think they would just do the right away drop. I think they would say it's dropping at this date. So I think it's a 50-50. But I want to see it. I'm like you, since that first trailer, the cast, the director, but more importantly, every piece of marketing I've seen, no matter how many years apart, I've liked it all. So sign me up. I want to see it, and I hope VOD, because I don't think theaters is anytime soon, to be honest. So
no, unfortunately, and the director's gone on record that this is his cut.
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing changed that he has not already approved of. Everything, this is his cut, and so I just want to see what it looks.
Which is so funny. You and I talked about last week, like directors creating freedom in MCU. This is not an MCU property, but if you look back at the history of this movie, the reason New Mutants wasn't coming out because Fox wanted to change a bunch of stuff, and it was too scary and too horrors. It's so funny now that the supposed super evil wants their hands on everything family friendly. Disney, who is the owner of this, I know people, oh, it's 20th century. It's Disney. They own it all. It's their property. They went, no, Josh Boone, you do what you do. Now, the case is, to me, in my opinion, they go, we just want to get this film out there. We don't really care. We're going to do our own X-Men thing. But I still think it's their product, and they're still saying, let you go. So I'm happy for him, because he's never kind of let it die the passion as far as being a director. It's not like, oh, I don't care. Like, I just want it out and whatnot. Like, him, the cast, and crew they've always talked about. So I think it's going to be an interesting film, at least. I don't know how good it will be, but I think I'm expecting it to be at least a good, interesting film.
Yeah, I think also there was tied to their kind of going back to contracts. I think this movie has to come out in some way, shape, or form, too. I think there's definitely something. So when people say, oh, we'll never see it, I said, no, I think there's some contracts behind that one that we're going to see this at some point.
Even if you see it on a Nintendo cartridge, we will see New Mutants one day. One day we will be watching New Mutants. Maybe our kids will be graduating, but it'll come out at some point.
And I agree. It wasn't going to be the gangbusters billion-dollar movie at that point, and I wasn't expecting it to be. But it's unfortunate. Who I think the Fox has done as best as has done some great things with X-Men. I'm sorry that they did not get to have at least their last movie really go the way they had wanted.
Yeah.
But anyways, I know this next story involving Loki. I'm going to let you take this one because I know you were really excited about just even getting to talk about Loki.
Yeah, so it said, because I don't have the article. What was the actual quote that the showrunner said? Because so the showrunner was just talking about, I think she's doing some sort of interview. She had shared a post that I can't remember. Oh, that's what happened on the Disney Plus splash page. They have their like official. If you search Loki, it comes up there. So I think people, bored at home doing some stuff. She was answering some questions. So what was the exact quote she had there?
Yeah, she said just different rumors going around at that point. But what was the exact quote? It said in the Instagram story post, the showrunner Michael Waldron makes a comment about Loki on his page saying that I like the green nebula. It indicates that this is a science fiction show. And he goes on to describe the genre in Loki at that point, and when it comes to science fiction, he said expect the unexpected, and I think that she kind of liked it and added to it.
Yeah, so I'm this show's very intriguing to me because, one, as you can guess by my nickname, I'm a massive Loki fan. Loki as a villain, but I just think as a character, as far as the MCU films go, he's in my top 5 there. As far as villains, he's in the top 5 for, I think, comics overall. He's an interesting guy. If you don't know me on Geekverse and whatnot, Kylo Ren's my favorite Star Wars villain, and I kind of like villains like that, where it's at any point they kind of have their toes in the good side sometimes, but then they get pulled away, and you're always like, I want to see it happen. And we got to see that happen in MCU, and for me, I was always like, that's a perfect closure to that character, saving his brother, Loki, Odin's son. Great send-off. And then they drop, well, we're doing a TV show. And I go, okay, well, this is kind of strange. So I thought, at some point there were rumors of prequel, which I did not want. I'm not a big prequel guy. And especially there was rumors, too, it wasn't Hiddleston. Those seem to be wrong because he's on set filming every day when they're back to regular life. In Super Bowl time, when they released that TV spot of a mini Disney Plus preview, he had the Time Variance patch on him. So that shows like they're maybe going to do like a time cop, almost like maybe Bill and Ted style thing, because rumors have said the show might be a bit more comedic than some other ones, which I'm down for. We're at this like point with Loki. Anything we get with him now is a cherry on top. We had that good run with him, and it's just like, okay, this is just bonus. This is side missions in a video game when you complete it. But my thing is, I want to ask you, because we haven't really talked about, one, just the general, are you excited for the show? But two, do you think there's any chance, because in that quote they said there's some surprises and stuff like that, do you think there's any chance he works his way back in the main MCU? Because there's two things I want to show as far as like a case for it. And the first thing is they said that Loki, and this was at Comic-Con, they've confirmed this, that Loki ties into WandaVision and it ties in Doctor Strange Multiverse of Madness. So that could easily just be Doctor Strange maybe going to his new universe with Loki. They've met before, but Loki doesn't know him. So maybe it's just, okay, it's some cameo kind of, to set up why you see Loki. But I also think that's a way, somehow, some trickery, he ends up back in the main timeline. And two is when they did the Thor Ragnarok watch along with Taika Waititi, he was answering all these questions like directors do, and they asked him about people appearing in the sequel, and he was asked about Loki, and he just said that he couldn't comment on it. To me, if he's just dead and not coming back, you just say, no, you saw Endgame, you saw Infinity War, clearly he's not coming back. But for him to just put no comment, he could just be stoking the fires, having some fun. But there's still a few, like, to me, there's some signs where it's just like they're being a little coy about Loki and in the MCU. And I think there's a way they might bring him back because he's a popular character. Obviously, some people might not like that because he had a good send-off. But what are your thoughts on all that?
Yeah, one thing I just want to clarify from it, that the director Kate Herron didn't necessarily add anything to it. That what I earlier said, she basically just she posted a screenshot of his comments, so not necessarily denying it. So that's the big indication that she feels the same way, that there's going to be expect the unexpected. There's going to be some sci-fi elements regarding Loki at that point. But I like the idea that he's existing in a different timeline, from where we left him at Endgame. The fact that he's going to be tying in a little bit more Multiverse of Madness, WandaVision. I don't know necessarily. I think I don't think he's going to be a main villain as much anymore. He's just going to be that antagonist. Mm-hmm. And throughout the comics, we've seen Loki bite the big one, and he eventually comes back.
Yeah.
Sometimes as a child, sometimes as a woman, sometimes as whatever he wants to be. That's what Loki is. He will forever be the thorn in the side, and he is a character that I just don't see him being the big bad anymore. I just see him being an antagonist at that point. So I do think it could be outside of him making an appearance in Doctor Strange, but he will not be the big bad in Doctor Strange. I don't know where yet. And people say, well, obviously Thor. It's like, yeah, but I don't know about that.
Yeah, that seems so big. Like, that's my thing of maybe there's an end credit where it sets up that Loki's back, but I don't think he's taking part in the main story because I think you don't want what was happening with the X-Men series around Dark Phoenix time. People are like, oh, again, Xavier and Magneto are at each other's throats. You don't want that, especially with, how the way Apocalypse ended was like, okay, we're gonna be friends now, and then the next preview you see like, oh, you're not friends anymore. Same thing with Thor Ragnarok, where it's like that was the hey, we're together. And I know they would explain like it's a new Loki, but I think I agree with you as far as I think if he comes back, he will never be a main villain. He's not gonna be even in that villains team up. I think he would just be that Han Solo or like Lando Calrissian Empire Strikes Back of guy who you can't trust. He wants to help you out, but if the Empire has a lightsaber to his throat, he's going to turn on you. And that's the same way Loki, or even like Jack Sparrow in that sort of sense. I could see him being the Jack Sparrow of the MCU where he is kind of an anti-hero. So I think that he will appear. I don't think it would be as the main villain. I don't know if I necessarily want it. I'd be fine if he's always alive in his own continuity and maybe we reference it, we take trips there. That's fine, but I don't know what more on there is to chew other than I'd like to see, him and Hemsworth back together if they got good chemistry. What I've always wanted is Kid Loki. I think that would be fun. If Thor 4 is tackling Jane Foster, maybe Valkyrie taking over, I think Thor or Hemsworth maybe does have a 5 and 6. They probably sign him to another big contract. I think you could have so much fun of a film with him and a kid Loki and him trying to steer this kid on the right path, and especially with Taika, if you look at the movie he did where the wild or the Wilder people are, I can't remember the full title, but it was the second film after What We Do in the Shadows, and it's Sam Neill with the kid from Deadpool 2, and it's just like kind of back and forth and fun comedic of this grandfather father son dynamic sort of deal. And I think he's done things like that doing the MCU. I think you could have tons of fun with Chris Hemsworth with some kid playing a kid Loki and just getting into mischief, and that could be a great, and maybe that's what happened is Loki from the show goes in our universe, but because of some multiverse trickery, he turns into a child, and then that's where Thor finds him. I don't know. It's just strange that he does have a role in Doctor Strange. I'm surprised they even announced that, but I think that's them wanting to do that whole, hey, make sure you watch these shows because you want to be caught up. So that's kind of my thoughts of him coming back or a kid Loki or whatnot.
That would be interesting seeing Kid Loki, but that would be yeah, sign me up. I'd be interested in that.
Hemsworth would do great with it. If they got the right kid actor, it could be comedic gold, and they would have some, especially if he's back with, we don't know how Thor 4 ends. If him and Jane Foster are back together, they're happy. Maybe he's done being Thor and Valkyrie's going to be kind of Thor, and then this kid shows up on his doorstep, but it's not like an illegitimate son. It's his brother from a child, and it's just like, there could be some good like comedy hijinks there. And I kind of expect that after Thor Ragnarok with Thor to have some big comedic beats, so...
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, this is a really far out show at this point. Not that far out in the idea. I'm saying this is definitely down the line of Disney Plus. They were in the middle of filming this while when COVID happened and shut them down. So we'll see how far this does get pushed back. And let's go into some more bad news when it comes to Marvel on Disney Plus. Just when Falcon Winter Soldier thought they were going to get back in together and get back production. I don't know if they've officially started production again, but obviously they aren't making their August premiere date. Yeah. I don't think anyone was too surprised at this. It just stinks for Falcon and Winter Soldier. First they had the earthquake in Puerto Rico, and then coronavirus.
I forgot about the earthquake.
Had more than so they've had a few more extra delays in trying to get this together, but it's probably still top of my list to what I'm looking forward to next to What If. And I mean I don't know if they've officially started back production after they've given the green light, but so it's not making it in August. I don't think that they have stated when they're looking at it right now. I think at this point they're learning their lessons and saying it's coming. let's get the filming done, and it's coming.
Yeah.
I've seen some people say that, hey, why don't you just release a couple of episodes and put it like a movie and then do the rest of it? I said, you know what? At this point, I just want to wait. Just give me what.
Yeah.
Put out there what you intended to put out there. You've got my money. I'm not going anywhere. I mean, I'm just one person, but I don't think I'm alone in that sentiment thing. Like, just put out the product you meant to put out. Don't try to piecemeal it every once in a while. When it's ready, put it out there.
Yeah, I kind of agree with you there. I wouldn't want just 1 or 2 episodes. Like, of course, I'm jonesing because I want to see I just want to see a MCU Disney Plus show to see the style, because they've been talking about how it's going to be one big movie and whatnot, which I like, because to me some things with Mandalorian, sometimes it does feel a little TVE, whether it's the effects look great, but there's even still some shots where I go, or just even like the Mandalorian sometimes just walks on the same set in circles for about 5 times. You're like, this is the same building. So I'm kind of hoping with the MCU style, it feels exactly like the movies. So yeah, I think it's I don't know if we're going to talk about next, but I think it's all kind of in flux, and I hope we get it as soon as possible, but I don't hope that in the sense of people having to put their lives on the line or, risking things. I'd rather wait still as safe as possible. Also, we see with DC now, they're doing the Batman's going to be on a sound stage. It might even be something like that in the future, right? And I would rather them go that route. I'd rather them be safe and give it all to me when you're ready. I can wait. There's lots of great stuff on Disney Plus. There's lots of great still movies coming out. You talk about Palm Springs. I talk about Old Guard. Maybe for me, not Old Guard, not the greatest, but still, it was a Friday night of I got something to watch. There's old movies. There, I know some people complain about being bored, but we're in a time where, as far as, of course, we can't make up for human connection, that and whatnot. But if you're talking about entertainment wise, there's anytime you've said I never have time to catch up on the show, now's the time. So I can hold off until they're ready to go. Can you hear me?
Still with me?
Oh, yeah, I am. Okay. Did I drop out for a second?
Yep, I can hear you.
Okay.
Okay. All right.
Yeah, just go to the next story. I can take
just
that
a
out.
second. At that point, I said he's going to drop off right at the end of a sentence.
And I didn't. Yeah, thank goodness. Okay. Yeah.
So, yeah.
Go ahead.
Yeah, we're good. We're good. So, all right. Yeah, no, I mean, again, I think it's going to be one of their premiere shows for Marvel at that point. But, I mean, now we're going to get to a story that I don't know if it's going to be the premiere show at this point, because it was slated as that. And now, we got back and forth stories with WandaVision saying that at one point it was going to come out, and it was going to come out, I think it was in November, December, I believe, was the... it looks like no. It says remains on track. One group says it remains on track for an October premiere date, and then I think Hollywood Reporter said no, it's going to be pushed off. And then you just told me before air they've retracted that story, that part of the story. So right now, WandaVision looks to be set for an October premiere date and launching Marvel streaming shows on Disney Plus.
Yeah, so what I was going to ask you is just the fact of, obviously Feige and them, they have a plan, they have this slate leaned out, but what do you do if there's things like a WandaVision that have to go before this, or Falcon Winter Soldier? Do you think there's still enough wiggle room that they can change up the slate enough to, okay, we can put this out, or is there just certain ones where, because this goes to that we may have to keep delaying the slate? Because to me, them, and it might not seem it, maybe there's nothing, but them putting Falcon Winter Soldier would seem, okay, that needs to be there. And again, that is at a time where maybe that gets delayed because that has something to do with Black Widow. So it's just this domino effect of, with these movies that we've made, do we just keep getting the whole slate shuffled around till we get kind of one of the first ones that they planned out?
Yeah, I think we're going to continue to shuffle. If WandaVision does truly make it at that point to December, they're just going to have to roll with it at that point, or they could just say, you know what, we're going to push everything to next year. We'll get a better handle on everything. But I don't know if it's, considering that it was premiering anyways right after Falcon Winter Soldier. Them moving it ahead of Falcon. Obviously, neither one of them was affecting each other, but I don't see it affecting too badly with Doctor Strange, since it was only going to be the second show premiering at that point. So they're going to shuffle, but I don't think it's going to move the whole slate around, though.
I want to ask you this because there is some conversation about this with Tenet. Is there any chance that Disney will put this on VOD, meaning Black Widow?
So put Black Widow on VOD.
Yeah, so they could get things kind of rolling the ball.
No chance. No
I'm
chance.
the same way as you.
No chance. And absolutely not. That's one. I know. I say, well, you just said New Mutants. Yeah, New Mutants, Black Widow. Yeah, you're you're going to the penny slots at the casino. You're playing for big money with Black Widow.
Yeah.
and I'm not trying to lessen how what New Mutants is out there, but I mean, if we're comparing the two, one's a bigger juggernaut than and New Mutants just is not. Yeah, there is no chance of this movie going Black Widow going VOD. I just that would be just a huge blow to all that. They're trying to account for just getting this movie out there.
So let's say we wake up and for some reason they have decided, we're going. Let's say for some reason scientists say, you know what, COVID, hopefully not, but it's going to be here for like another 3 to 5 years where we got to live like this. Theaters might not be a thing, and they just say, hey, we're going to have to do this. What do you think they would charge? Not the what do you want, because that's an easy, like, oh, yeah, $10, $15, sure. But what do you think realistically, if they had their hands were tied and they had to do VOD, what do you think? Because I was talking about this Travis, he said too high, but I honestly said I thought $50, and that would be like 60, 65 for Canadian. I honestly think it's that because they have to attribute to families, people like my fiance and I, we'd be going, that's $2 of tickets, that's possibly popcorn and stuff. I think $50, it sounds high, but honestly, they know many people are going to watch this with, like, you have a family, I have a family, that's one price, so I've even seen people say, like, for like Tenet, they're talking about like 75 to 100, which is big, but again, if you're watching with multiple people, that would be cost those tickets. So what do you think? I would say somewhere in the 50th range. What do you think would be if they had to do VOD?
No, I would. Yeah, I know Greg and I have talked about this with the Super Civil Servants crew a bunch of times. And, do I want to pay $50 or $60 for a movie? No. But, for this thing, so be it. If this is the way I get to see it and be part of the conversation, then that's going to be a heck of an expensive weekend at that point. We'll definitely be cooking at home and watching it at that point. But no, I could see it being that way to recoup losses and get something out of this. But yeah, I don't want to see that announcement that it's VOD. But again, I'm not one making the decisions. It's not affecting me. So, but yeah, I could see $50 or $60.
Yeah, no, I agree. That's like I said, I don't think it will. I'm hoping things will get better, but it just was funny, not funny, but it was just seeing those kind of what if scenarios with Tenet as far as how long do they go if it doesn't happen, stuff like that. Because there is rumors that theaters might not open up till mid 2021, and already we've heard rumors of Black Widow pushing to February. We've heard rumors of Casino Royale, is it No Time to Die going to summer of 2021. So it's kind of like we talk about WandaVision being in flux. It's just kind of anything as far as entertainment is in flux. And I do think there is a version, though, where it might mess up the slate, but I do think there's a version of the MCU if they go, okay, we're not going to release these movies. But I could see them really focusing on Disney Plus, stuff like She-Hulk, stuff like Moon Knight. That might not be, obviously, She-Hulk, you got Mark Ruffalo, but these Miss Marvel, some of these ones that are new characters might be just more about the origins. I could see a phase where those get shuffled up, and it's more about the Disney Plus shows, and the movies will come a bit later. And there's a chance that maybe we get majority of our Disney Plus shows, Hawkeye, we get those first, and they change some end credit things. They change some, things they would have said as a plot point or maybe to set up something else, and they kind of wait for that. So, because the MCU before functioned without Disney Plus shows, they don't need them. They're just a new, they're just a new tool in the wrench pile. So I think that they could honestly just do those Disney Plus shows if that's the only way you can release it at home, what they already planned. I think you could see if this COVID thing keeps going on that they might just shift and go, okay, we can, because that's the thing they've talked about, like Batman and all this stuff going back into production, Jurassic World, but it's like, yeah, there's no theater release it in. These movies are just going to be done, which is good. You can polish them, have time, but they're just going to be done sitting there, where Netflix, Hulu, Amazon, Disney Plus, you could finish these things, release them at home, and have no problem. So that's why I feel logistically you could see the TV shows kind of get upped in the slate.
Yeah, it's going to be interesting. It's we don't know. They haven't looked like. I'm kind of confident that they're, if anything, if we see an actual new movie premiere in a theater this year, I'd be shocked. I really would be shocked.
I agree. And any major tentpole, like someone might put out some independent movie, like there is some movie coming here in Kelowna called like Abe, but I've never heard of it. I've never. it has some people in it, and no disrespect to them, but it's just like it is like a smaller movie, right? And I think those could be the one where it's like, oh, they know these weren't going to make much money, and this is the time, So.
Do you want to kind of? We got a few more news stories, not majors. Do you want to continue news, or do you want to head to some fact and fiction? We'll punch some of these.
We quick bullet point those news stories, because I don't have much to say on that one. We're going to talk about from Hulu.
Yeah.
But.
We'll end with that one since it's quick at that point.
Sure.
So yeah, let's Marvel Hawkeye Disney Plus series has landed the Troop Zero directors, and this was exclusive from Hollywood Reporter. Amber Finlayson and Katie Elwood, known for helming the coming of age story Troop Zero, have been tapped to run the Hawkeye series on Disney Plus. So I've never seen Troop Zero, and so it's definitely interesting because I know this show has been kind of back and forth whether it was going to be made or not. I kind of in the camp thing. I don't know about this show, and I think a lot of that stemmed from who they were eyeing for Kate Bishop in this show, Haley Steinfeld, just because of negotiations have been kind of going back and forth. So it's been very unclear if her deal has closed or if she's still in it. I know she's said that she really does want to be a part of this series. So, but yeah. So have you ever seen Troop Zero? Because I don't know these directors from anyone.
Yeah, no, I'm the same as you, unfortunately, for all these other Disney Plus shows so far, this is going to be the first one that has multiple directors. I've had like a touch on, be like, oh, I kind of seen their work or I know of it. This I don't, so that doesn't help me as far as knowing as far as quality-wise. I usually trust them because MCU usually puts in good directors, writers, and they always kind of have a plan, so they're kind of working in tandem. So yeah, I'm excited for the show. I'm actually a big fan of Jeremy Renner's Hawkeye. I do prefer the comic version more, but I think he has gotten closer to that as far as kind of that Age of Ultron Civil War style. He was getting close to that, but it's just the thing is we didn't get much of him. So I think a show dedicated to him is great, especially at a time now where I think he's at his most interesting after Endgame. He's been through quite a bit in those 5 years. So yeah, I would love her to be playing Kate Bishop, but if she doesn't, it's not make or break. There's many great actors who could do the role, but I'm pretty excited, and I hope we get it rather sooner than later. Obviously, like we talked about, maybe that could happen, but the fact that they're working on that, they're hiring directors, that could show that maybe they are planning that we gotta just focus on TV for the next little bit. And it's still technically MCU, so you get your MCU fix. So I am excited for the show. Hopefully the directors are the right choice.
Yeah, they said that looking at their past credits suggests that the show will have a lighthearted tone, and that directors could follow the path set by the Russo brothers, who helmed comedies before they tackled, in my opinion, one of the best ones of the MCU, Winter Soldier. So I mean, again, I don't, just because they've done, it's kind of like passing judgment on so many times we've gone into different things, passing judgment just based on what they've done prior to it. It's just like, just let them see what they can do. Again, I will reserve judgment until I see it, and I'll stick to that. So our next one is Miss Marvel adds theoretical physicist Clifford Johnson as a consultant. For Miss Marvel is another Disney Plus show that's in very, very early stage of development, focusing on the character of Kamala Khan. And her power set is, she's a quote-unquote inhuman, and her power set's very similar to, Mr. Fantastic in the sense of stretching her body parts, but she can also grow giant too and grow small. And so with that idea, he is actually this is the first time I'd heard the physicist, but then he has been a big consultant on a number of shows, including Endgame, the Flash solo movie, and he sat down with IndieWire just talking about how he is there to also stress the correct scientific processes over real-life accuracy. So the idea was to give them a lot of knowledge about what time travel, and he's referring to Endgame, scenarios could they play with, but then step back and then let them choose as the writers what they were actually going to do. And I saw a lot of what I gave them on screen. So they actually did listen to him. And the fact that he's kind of being this thought-after kind of, guided physicist that's saying, hey, we're actually going to listen to you and listen to what you have to put forth, especially with Endgame and their time travel. He does say if the stars align just right, the physicist does want to help Marvel with Fantastic Four. He said, that is so my jam. Reed Richards was taking his team and we're all into the weird higher dimension stuff. I want to be a part of that. So he's really pushing for a Fantastic movie being greenlit so he can be a part of it.
Yeah, it was some fun discourse on Twitter when that news came out that he was working on Flash, because there's always fun jokes poked at Endgame that's time travel whatnot by some certain groups of DC fans, and then they're like, oh, and he's working on the Flash movie. It's like, oh well, you never know what's gonna come around. Yeah, it's interesting because people, I don't know if this is the truth or not, because who knows why he's working on this. People just kind of said, well, if he was talking about time travel a lot, why is he talking about that with Miss Marvel? I would not think that Miss Marvel's going to have any time travel in it. I don't think, just from the premise as far as her Soul comics and whatnot, I don't
think it's time travel. I was just like being a physicist, just looking at her power set, what can be done.
Oh yeah, no, that's why I was just bringing up that some people were bringing up. I was like, I don't think that's the case here. I think it's like he can help out there, but unless there's some big secret they're really holding out, I don't think that's the case. So I think it's just to get some scientific stuff right. I'm excited for that show, and it's always fun to kind of hear these behind the scenes of who they go to, who works on these. When we just kind of talk about the actors, writers, directors, and that's kind of it for us. Sometimes we don't think about the grips, we don't think about the lighting crew, we don't think about this guy who's on set being like, oh, you could do this. So yeah, it's interesting and good for him if he's a fan of this stuff. If he could work with Fantastic Four, he's working with Flash, Endgame, this. So that's a nice little asterisk to have on your job. Like, oh, I also do this, but then I also help up Hollywood with their big mainstream comic book movies. And if you like those, that must be cool, because I guarantee you they maybe give him a little like, oh, you come to a premiere or something like that. And hey, like I don't have anything, if they need to come to me and talk to me about hospital orders and the difference of 20 different syringes, I'll gladly take that job so I can go to premiere.
There you go. So our last story, I hate to say we're going out with a quote-unquote whimper, but so be it with our news. But IGN put out there that Hulu's Helstrom they had some first looks at the new supernatural horror series that's going to be on Hulu. I didn't get too much out of the images. It was just mostly set photos. I thought I was gonna see Helstrom in all his glory. So the actor that's portraying Helstrom, but didn't see any Helstrom, so it's just like a bunch of people standing around on set. I was like, all right, not what I was hoping for. I'm still the one saying I didn't want Helstrom. I wanted Ghost Rider, but I know them taking it off the table at that point means there's better things coming for Ghost Rider. Fingers crossed, but this is one I'm not too excited about. Will I watch it? I'll at least watch the first couple of episodes, and we'll see if it snags me.
Yeah, that's the thing. At least the good thing for them in COVID times is there will be there's new stuff coming up, but there's still a lack of new stuff. A lot less stuff that would have been coming out in regular time. So they may, if the show is decent enough, they could capitalize on that. They'd get enough eyes. Oh, it's a Marvel show. That's cool. I just don't have much connection to this character in general as far as comics goes. And like you said, to me, first images that I'm not condemning the show, but that was something to a show that I feel like has very little hype right now. Okay, show some good juicy images. Like you said, it is just people standing around looking really pretty, dressed up in nice suits or in a jacket that look like they've been brought off a set. Okay, I like you, I will check it out, but it has to really grab me in the next little bit, because I'm somebody that I've caught up to Doom Patrol now, but I still got to watch Stargirl. I'm still planning on, there's other shows I want to catch up on. So again, with lack of content, there's still tons of stuff in the past. I go, oh, I still would like to watch that. If a show's not grabbing me, I kind of give it 2 or 3 episodes, usually 3, then I'm kind of out. So it kind of has that, unless the first episode's just god awful. If it's just, okay, this is, then I'm done. But I hope it's...
We're talking Inhumans level awful.
Exactly. So I'm hoping that as far as the show, it has like a somewhat decent budget, and it doesn't take the Iron Fist route where it felt like this should not have been a TV show. As far as, I actually liked Iron Fist a lot more than other people, but there are many aspects of that show that, one, kind of felt like 2000 X-Men's, where it didn't want to be a comic book show. It's like, we're not putting him in the costume. And 2, sometimes when it's like he goes to fight a dragon, it's like, oh, it's just eyes in a black room. Okay, it's just 2 lights and this is a dragon. I guess this is a dragon. So I do wonder what the budget they're playing with, and that's where, again, these are just first images, but that's what I thought of right away. Like, oh no, we might not get that much trippy, crazy stuff, kind of CGI effects in this show. It might be just a really toned down version. So I can't even say I'm intrigued. I'll watch it and check it out just as far as I am a Marvel DC comic book fan and hope for the best.
Yeah, so we will see, but well, there's a lot of news we got through, but a lot of good talk about it. So yeah. I've got some we've actually got some first fan or fiction from our buddy Brent. First.
Oh, okay.
So he sent me 2. And then we'll get to mine. So we have a total of 5 today.
Here we go. We're
stacked.
All right.
So here we go. So here's from Brent at Brent Tech Prime. In the first MCU X-Men title, at least 3 of the original 5 X-Men will be in the roster.
So do you think he's speaking original, like comics original,
yes.
right? Okay.
Yep.
So 3 at least 5.
I had 2. I could definitely see 3. I know my roster I had 2. So yeah. I could definitely see that being a fact.
So we're playing with Scott, Jean, Beast, Angel, and Bobby Drake, right? Those would be the OGs. So because I had 3 because I had Bobby Drake, but I still will say fiction because I think Jean and Scott are very likely, but I don't see Beast and I don't see Angel right away. So to me, it's Bobby Drake, and I know I had him on my team, but I always go from he was on the last just because I always going to 7. I thought, is this going to have too many? So it's tough because, like I said, Bobby has this new thing where he is gay now, so that's like another good diverse play to put in some characters that represent other people and other cultures and other communities. So, and he's a great character as well. I'm not just saying because it's just diversity, but I'm saying it's kind of good when you can have a great character that can mean things to a lot more other people. Kind of why I always talk about Black Panther. I'll be safe and say fiction, but I'm not. I'm very 50-50 on it. It's a tough one. I could see it easily being fact, but I'll go fiction.
Yeah, so yeah, I'll stick with mine just because, again, I went back and forth of having 3 originals on mine, but I just wanted to bring some new blood at that point. But all right, his next one is, if the Spider-Man deal gets extended beyond the current one more solo and 1 more team up movie, that's what the current deal has, we will finally see Spider-Man with Daredevil in live action.
Oh, good. I thought that's a question. I have a question for my next Factor Fiction. I thought he was going to steal it, but he didn't. So I was sweating bullets there. But so we'll see. We'll see Daredevil and Spider-Man. I guess it always depends. You go first. I'm trying to think because I guess for me it depends how long that deal is, right? Is it the original deal where it's multiple films, or is it 1 more? So I want to go. You go first because I'm torn.
Yeah, that's a very good one. Then he didn't clarify necessarily. We'll just say that in a best case scenario, I want it. I do really want it. I don't see it. Well,
You can say yet, but that's the problem with the Sony deal. Yet might be the last time.
Yeah, exactly. If they get extended, I don't know. I really don't know how. I could see different ways. I know how they could bring it in, but I'm gonna say fiction on this one. I think Marvel's gonna do everything. Disney and Marvel are gonna do everything they can to put out all the stories they can about Spider-Man forever, how long, if this so-called extension goes on. You know, they're going to be so focused on getting Spider-Man. I don't know if they're that concerned right now with having a Spider-Man Daredevil team up in live action. Would I love seeing it? Yes, I really would love to see that. But I just think that depending on how this extension goes through, I don't know. What do you feel? I'm going fiction on it, unfortunately, despite my heart. But
yeah, I'm the same as you. My heart says fact, but I'll go fiction as well, just because I'm just trying to play out all the scenarios, even if it is the multiple deals, because we still got to get through. We got to wait for Daredevil's rights to be back. We have to introduce him. We don't know where that's going to be, movie or TV, and then we have to somehow get them together, and we don't know if he's a TV Disney Plus guy. That could be, he's not. We're not putting him in the movies right now. He could be in a different trajectory. As far as then it's a crossover, as far as we talk about like Secret Wars or Secret Invasion, stuff like that. I don't see them in the near future as far as where we stand right now. And again, this could have been different because we would have gone Black Widow and we would have been getting at least previews for Falcon Winter Soldier. You and I could have had a different mindset of where we were in the MCU. But right now, we're still just right after Endgame, which is crazy to think it's a year later, but we just had Spider-Man Far From Home, and that's where we are. So I'll say fiction for now, but this could easily change in a year once we get some more MCU stuff, once we hear more about Spider-Man 3, which is now, Tom Holland said, is planning on shooting in February 2021. So that was supposed to film September. It's not, so we're not going to get any news on that for a while. So as of right now, fiction, but maybe come around again in February, I might change it. Even hearing a Spider-Man rumor list of who a villain is or where his trajectory is going.
Yeah, so like we said, it sounds like our heart wants it, Brent. Our heart wants it. Our head is getting in the way of our hearts, unfortunately, on this one. But God, that would be awesome. That poster image of a spider in the kitchen. Oh, that was so good.
Boss Logic is just a master. When I saw that, I was just like, oh man, I hope Feige looks at his Twitter account that day and goes, you know what? Let's just do it. Let's bring. It's just I wonder in this next contract, do you think they're gonna have to put something as far as if I don't think they would have him appear, but they would have to put some addendum putting that he could possibly appear in Disney Plus stuff or no, right?
Anything's on the table.
I just feel like you would want that in there because what if they have a great idea for, let's say they just do Daredevil Disney Plus and they have a great idea for Tom Holland to be in an episode, but if it's just for films, then I go, oh crap. So I wonder in the next contract if that could be a thing, if he could appear, but if that would account as an appear, like maybe they would say like he gets one movie appearance, one crossover appearance, and one Disney Plus appearance. I could see something happening like that.
If Disney Plus becomes what they want it to be, that's definitely going to be talked about. But
then what does Sony want in return? That's the question.
Exactly. And
Venom, Avengers 5, we need it.
We saw what happened last time, and there's only so many tears that poor Tom Holland can give at this point. So, all right. So as I kind of messaged you, I said I got into a kind of a fact or fiction kind of mode, and I definitely have some banked. So I think I'm just going to go with my first ones that are listed here, and then keep the other ones for next time. All right. So this actually was one I'd left over from when we did our X-Men show this was when I punted at that point just because I had 4 and said, all right, well, I'll move this to the next one. So this one goes, Disney Plus will be home to at least one X-focused live-action streaming show.
I will say fact just because, again, when we talked about it possibly being a full slate, I think it just, if it hits and it grows, it could grow well. And I think there's many characters that don't need to be on the X-Men or need a solo film that could live there. We've talked about Gambit. I still want him in the movies, but I just think that's the thing, much like a Batman or even some of the Spider-Man rogues, X-Men could be its universe on its own. They could literally come out tomorrow and say, hey, they're not going to be in the MCU. We're just going to do an entire universe dedicated X-Men films, and that's what we're doing. I could see it easily on Disney Plus, and even a main character you could take if you want to do a miniseries. Look at Hawkeye. Like, okay, maybe people say he's not a main character, but still, he's one of the 6 Avengers. He's been around for a while. He's getting his own show. So I think it's a fact you'll definitely see some sort of X-focused show on Disney Plus eventually.
Okay. I say fact. I do. That's why I didn't put a timeline on it, because I hate timelines. As you all, I'm guilty of it. You're guilty of it doing fact or fiction. I was like, oh, I hate timelines with it. I think that it's a foregone conclusion. That's why I didn't say X show, because I think animation stuff. But I think a live action show is definitely in their future. Could I see them trying to do another Generation X show? Oh, you better darn believe it.
Yeah.
I could totally see that being Disney Plus's bread and butter as Teenage Mutants at that point. I mean, a lot of them are Teenage Mutants, but again, looking at the Xavier Mansion and having their own team. So yeah.
Yeah, I'm watching X-Men Evolution again on Disney Plus, and that is a good idea as far as the Gen X thing. You could easily have a kid of that one, of course, took the main characters of X-Men, but you could easily take lesser known X-Men and kind of do that high school vibe and whatnot. Yeah, I do the years to get you on the fact or fiction, because then you do the flip of the coin where you do specific films like Deadpool and X-Force. That's where you put my feet against the fire, because I go, oh my goodness, one specific film, what do I do? So that, I throw in those years to make you sweat a little.
Yeah, it does make it interesting, and that's when my head starts becoming the rational side versus my heart, as Brent's question revealed. All right, so we're both fact on that one. Here's a good one. This is what I was quite proud of myself for thinking about this one. I was like, oh, this is so good. We will get a Thunderbolt streaming show or movie before the end of Phase 6.
Ooh, okay. So there's a mystery here put on there. So a Thunderbolts show or TV series.
And when I say show, I'm not saying like we're talking seasons. It can be a limited series.
Yeah.
It doesn't have to be a 20 seasons. Oh, does anything last 20 seasons anymore? Multiple seasons.
Simpsons apparently.
Yeah.
Simpsons going to go on to the end of time. I think so. Before Phase 6, so Phase 4 we got Lena. So that's 5 and 6. I think. I'll go fact because it's the weird thing. We've heard rumors of Thunderbolts, but they've all been like from the below B tier reporting, right? They're all people that are not the trades. They're not big time scoopers. It's just rumors that they're working on, but they've never come out and said anything. They've never hinted at it. It's not on the slate. And I thought for sure when we were going to drop the Phase 4 slate, Thunderbolts or some version was going to be in there. Now, reason why I think it could be Phase 5 is because I still think there's a chance Bucky is the leader of that team. Yeah, he has his haircut and he's all nice looking now, but there's still a guy that's a little tormented and could be the Winter Soldier. Not villainous side, but just that he's been on that side, right? And if he's looking for a new lease on life, I'm going to leave maybe these other villains to kind of rehab them. So I think I'll say fact. It's not the strongest fact like the X show was, but I will say fact that I think this is another heart one. I really want them to do it. I think that roster of villains they have left, Abomination, Justice Hammer, hopefully Taskmaster, Ghost. There's tons of people that I would love to see just the actors on screen together interacting. I really want Justin Hammer back, so I really want to just see him palling around with people and giving his little commentary. So I will say fact.
Yeah, I'm a fact on this one as well. I don't know about a movie, but I could definitely see a limited series. So, but all right. So my last one is Doctor Strange: Multiverse of Madness will open up the opportunity for Marvel and the MCU to establish movies or shows that are not MCU proper.
So that will be the kind of origin point of it. So if they're gonna do it. Yeah, because I've always thought to myself, is it going to be that or is it going to be Marvel What If? And then after that, they don't have an event, but they just say, oh, you loved our Marvel What If series. Now we're doing movies of like Marvel What If. So I've always gone back and forth. I could say, this one's a doozy. I'll say fact. This is a very weak fact because I think easily we don't know what that word multiverse means as far as does it mean in our sense like the same way in DC, same way we've seen in Marvel, or is it just literally Scarlet, Doctor Strange, there's a bunch of worlds closing together and they got to stop them almost like Crisis style stuff like that or Mortal Kombat. So it's tough until if we had seen WandaVision again or seen a preview again I would know, but now that we're in this alternate universe where COVID has happened, I'll say fact that it could be the potential jumping off point.
Yeah, I really want this. I really want this because
Me too.
I would love to have Marvel just say that we have MCU proper and here's just some fun stories we just want to tell. The what if is what if, but it's I really want this to happen. I just don't see. It's hard for me. I'm going to go against my heart on this one again. I'm going to say no because of Feige wanting a lot of stuff to be connected in the control at that point, and things that aren't in that kind of realm and putting it in the MCU at that point. Just I don't think he's that interested in at this point, even with the potential. So I'm going to say fiction on it.
Yeah, you kind of like that's a tough thing. I'll stay fact to be devil's advocate, but honestly, talk me a little bit over fiction as far as again, is it? I could see him wanting to do it, but is it right now? I don't know because I just feel like there is so much on the deck for it. But like I said, like you said, it is what I want, and give it a fun name. This is the MCU. Give it something else so people know. It's the same way as far as Todd Phillips. I hated DC. Hopefully they'll change it now. He said, while he's making Jokers, like you guys should make a film like Slate and call it like DC Black. And they're like, it's a little early for that. Which they're probably right. They didn't know Joker was going to be a hit. But I one day want someone to be on a stage, whoever it is that's running DC, or whether it's a virtual panel at Fandom, say, these are our DCU movies. This is our our black label, our dark label, the same way the comics are, because I know some people are like, oh, that gets confusing. I don't think it does. I think people can now smart enough know, oh, this is MCU. They know what that means. They know what that sticker means, that tagline means. So if you could start doing that, even if they did just call it Marvel What If, they could honestly just call it that, and people would know, oh, they call it What If because these are different tales, you know? So I think you could do that, or Elseworlds, whatever it may be. Put a label on it, get going on it. But I think, like you said, maybe they're going to wait around. But Doctor Strange, maybe that's their ace in the hole. They got something big to drop, and that's it.
Yeah, we will have to see. But yeah. So those are mine. I'll keep the others for in a couple weeks from now.
Oh, I'm interested. I'm excited too, because next week, because it would be my turn, the person that's guest hosting with you, they're going to be throwing those to you.
Oh yeah, I've told them that they have to start getting ready for that.
I'm very excited to hear that. So that's tune in next week. That's gonna be good. I'm excited to be as a listener, getting a vote, and be sitting there like, oh man, what happens here? So that's exciting. So
yep. All right. So we've got Comic Book Club. We've got our penultimate issue of Civil War. So why don't you kind of start us off with this high level thoughts?
Yeah, so I think this was better than last week's as far as this is another setup issue, but this feels more happens, more concrete's going on, and this is definitely the calm before the storm, and we get a little bit of that storm right as the issue ends. I think this was the perfect kind of setup issue, where last week, one of our complaints was that, okay, there was some Spider-Man stuff that maybe needed to be in that issue, but two, there was just not a lack of stuff happening, but it was one of those issues that ended of you weren't on the edge of your seat. Luckily, the rest of the series has been great, so you're already there. But this issue hit out of the park with everything kind of didn't happen with last week's. As far as the twists and turns, it was, especially in those last 3 or 4 panels or pages, there's just like 5 twists upon twists. I love, and I know we're going to get into it, I absolutely love what they did with Frank Castle and Captain America. We talked a little bit about that last week, but they always have such a fun dynamic, and we got to see it here. And yeah, you get to see Spidey come back, and he's kind of licking his wounds, but he's being that more heroic Spider-Man. I think this was a kind of perfect setup issue, and it ended again as far as an obvious as where it was going, the big war, but it ends as far as that, like, okay, maybe Tony's team didn't have the upper hand as much as they thought, and then they get hit again, and like, okay, maybe we really didn't have the upper hand like we thought. So it was a great, kind of almost felt like the end of Mission Impossible movie when they take off the plastic mask and you go, oh, this is how they did it. That was kind of Cap and his team. So I really enjoyed this kind of, like I said, calm before the big war, and I can't wait for, obviously we're not going to cover it next week because I'm off, but then in 2 weeks we'll talk about the finale, and it's going to be a good time.
Yeah, it was, like you said, a lot of different setups, but we see the beginning of the initiative. We see really that starting to take form at that point. And I like kind of how Tony has that moment talking with Reed, saying that, wow, it's what's going to happen when this finally goes full, the 50-state initiative.
It's going to be boring.
Yeah. He said, well, and Reed said, yeah, we also won't have kids dying and buildings falling on top of them, so that's actually a good thing. But I thought was just interesting is like, when they're down in the bunker with Cap meeting at the war table and they're planning to take down the facility, and they bring one of their, what was it, Diamondback brings in some C-D tier level villains to join the team at that point, and Punisher just lights them up, and he's like, what? They're bad guys. Yeah. I already told you I'm not on the other team because of they're working with legit villains, and Cap just proceeds to kick the crud out of him at that point. So get him out of here, melt down his guns. I don't want to see his face ever again.
Yeah, I can't believe I worked with him, everything like that. And then Spider-Man, who is just like, maybe he shouldn't have said this because he's already on the edge. He's like, man, same guy, just different wars. And then he goes, no. Cap goes, no, I'm nothing like Frank Castle. He's insane. So, I think Spider-Man just got back. He's like, oh, I'm already stepping on eggshells. Damn it. Like, I'm not having a good day back at work. So, yeah, that was a great scene. It's just, I love to, anytime Frank Castle kills in the Civil War, the panels just go red. They're just blood-soaked because it's a great way of making it violent, but not too violent, but showing just, and almost just shows the mood shift. And you have Captain America, who just questions, man, I shouldn't have done this, but I love that he just beats him down, but Frank will not hit him, and he goes, I can't hit you, and all the motives made sense for both characters. One, for Cap to do what he did, but then for Frank, because like you said, that was his reason for finally choosing side. They're working with villains. These are people I put either in bars or want to kill. No, we can't do that. These are the bad guys. And now they bring in these bad guys. It wasn't going to go well when I was reading this the first time. But then just how quickly. It's just from one panel to the next. Oh, hi, I'm dying back. And then it's just like, he's gone. And Frank, like you said, nonchalant. And that is just like Cap saying he's insane, because he is at that point where I think there's heroes that kill. I think even Captain America kills, but there's like a weight that comes to it, or even if you get in that argument of like a Batman or a Spider-Man, those are characters I prefer not to kill. But when they have taken life, I think in the best storytelling, it has really weighed upon them. And that's something they did not want to do. Where Frank Castle, that is just breathing air. That's just a second nature to him. Almost just honestly now it's a first nature to him. And the fact that he kicks about is, I love too that one scene we had of him climbing again. Almost this gave me lots of very Mission Impossible vibes that felt like that, where those he had that suit and just, where'd you get that? Oh, Stark's warehouse don't have the best locks. It's just like, you love that Frank Castle, just even this billionaire high tech guy, he still found a way to like go break into his warehouse. So Frank, he had just a good highlight, but now he's gone, and it was very depressing to see him all walked out and bloodied. And then, as I was talking about earlier, the twists with Tigra thinking she had made the call correctly but didn't, because Hulkling had taken over Hank Pym, who, even when I read it the first time when Hank revealed himself, I didn't think it was gonna be Hulkling, because they kind of even set in some kind of feelers that Hank might not be feeling it. We talked about that conversation he had with Spider-Man a few issues ago. So I liked the twist upon the twist, but at the end of the day, I also think Hank could have just fully turned, and I would have personally bought it. So I liked all that. And like I said, I liked that it was the twist of, they know the plan. And then the second twist of, they've unlocked all the cells. Oh man, this is not looking good for us. And then it just, that big, you better close your eyes because this is going to hurt. And then it was just, and then obviously it's just, we're at that big point and we know what's coming. But it was a great kind of coup de grace to the build up to this big civil war.
Yeah, and just leave it to Cap. Just like, hey, I already knew I assumed we had a spy at that point, but I'm not going to be left without that. My spy is going to beat your spy because of what he has access to now. And that was just a cool, hero shot moment at that point. Both sides with both their big guns facing each other down. But I like that we get a quick little revisit to Doctor Strange, because he has been on the sidelines, and even Uatu questions him on that, and he basically says both sides have their merit, but I'm not going to be the one, because he says, like, you could determine which side wins. He said, yeah, but this one I can't. This one I'm not going to, because whatever happens tonight, is going to be, quote unquote, what's best for humanity. And that's kind of interesting, seeing that side from Doctor Strange, that he sees merit on both.
Well, I think that's
because it's true. You can see merit on both sides.
Well, and I think that's good, too, because we'll inevitably run that problem in the MCU now that Doctor Strange and around people go, well, why didn't Doctor Strange help? And there's some situations where we go, yeah, like an Endgame, of course, but when we get into some more personal stuff, it makes sense, because he doesn't want to just be playing God. He doesn't want to just, like, the Watcher said, and Watcher said, just like, you could, with a whisper, change all this. He goes, yeah, but I can't. That would not be right, because they're not going to be choosing that then. Then it's just going to, eventually you would probably just get to this destination again, because no one made that choice. You made a false choice for them. So, yeah, I forgot to shout that out, but you're right. That was a really good panel, and I think it did show, as far as what are you kind of thinking about? What are you fasting for? The best outcome. And that's all he wants, is he's just hoping whatever is right, that's the route they go. And yeah, I think it was good messaging as far as where he was. We also got a fun little back and forth with Sue and Namor, again, kind of touching upon their history. And Namor, who is just a hero I like, but always just such a dick, just always, he's always. He's never the friendly type, and he showed it again there. And I like that he kind of made his points of, why should I help you when the noise that you make up there is like a wave tide to what we do down here. So, and he had some other good points, but yeah, always a good dynamic between those two.
So one more issue. There might be another one you and I still have to talk about if we're gonna extend Civil War, just because some of the epilogues are a decent one. We may just do one big one at that point, but we'll let you know Yeah, when you come back on in 2 weeks, at that point, what that's going to be. So we have
Sounds
some
good.
time to think about it. So yeah, another great episode.
Yeah, another volume in the books. Yeah, I thank you as always for doing this with me. As far as where you can find me on Twitter and everything like that, Travis B. Snail. You can check out Geek First right now. Next week we have 6 casts because we got Ghost of Tsushima happening review. We have our annual superhero draft. That's what we do is each of us pick 5 actors, and then whoever gets cast in a role, we get points. I am ahead because of COVID. We're extending it a year because some people didn't cast. I picked John Cena, and he got cast in Squad, so I got that going for me. Xbox showcase is coming up, so lots of good stuff happening over there. And then as we plugged earlier, Patreon, there's going to be some good stuff dropping there. I'm on, and just check out the rest of the shows. And if you want to tweet at me about anything, I'm there to talk to.
Yeah, you guys got a lot of stuff coming out this week on all fronts.
Yeah.
But yeah. So you're not going to be here next week. We do have a guest coming on. I know he is set to reveal who himself is on his show that will drop very. It will drop actually the same day as this. So if you happen to be listening to this his show, he will reveal himself. We'll let him reveal himself at that point. And if you end up not listening to the show, hey, it'll be a surprise for you at that point. But I'm looking forward to have him on. It's going to be a lot of fun at that point. And so, so we will miss you, Travis, next week. I hope you enjoy your weekend that you have planned. But you can find me personally at Chris Balga, and on Twitter the show is at Marvel A Podcast. You can email the show at marvelalliancepodcast@gmail.com. You can follow the Geek Ultimate Alliance Network on Twitter at GUA Pod Network. Continue to tweet, email if you want to provide feedback or ask questions, and continue to rate and review the show on Apple Podcasts or wherever your platform of choice for your podcatcher may be. And as always, listeners, thank you so much for taking your time. And as Stan the Man would say, Excelsior, true believers.